Well, Jack always defined himself as being the last or the only serious romantic poet in the United States. And I'm sure that's true. But for me, in that first book, there's a kind of austere intensity, a kind of classicism in those poems that really reminded me of the early Greek anthology poets. They were just so tight and ferocious and clean and clear. It was astonishing to come across that kind of poetry, especially in the early 60s when the beats were banging away, etc., reading poetry to saxophones and so forth. The poem I'm going to read is titled Nights and 4,000 Mornings, and it's a poem that is not in the collected poems. Yes, I don't know what happened. I should warn you, it's the longest poem he ever wrote. Here's the
hard to get.
Very hard to get, a collector's item. The poem is at once an elegy and a love poem, and a kind of meditation on memory and presence. And it begins in Greece on a long walk and then moves back and forth through time and places. Nights and 4,000 mornings, which is 11 years. I go out the back gate and past the orchard, up the stream over the small sound of water, through olive trees, under the big cypress, and come to a dirt road. When it curves left, I am above the villa. Michiko raises her arms, and I wave, and the road climbs to the nunnery. I go past and down the other side under the scree of a donkey trail. Soon I can see the village, white and miniature, far below by the sea. A path branches off through an old terrace to Linda's shepherd hut. I look under the marble stone for messages, leave a note, and go on. Now Michiko will be in the shady arbor behind the house, watching the swallows in the early morning sky, or painting the fig tree, or translating Japanese poems. The trail drops faster across stone shelving. The farm with a child and a mean dog on the right. The old woman's house with her dying husband after. It gets steeper and mostly boulders. I go too fast on their tops as a treat and come to the dry creek and rushes and thicket of oleander at the bottom of the mountain. It is hot now. Every wise man I met in Asia warned me against caring, explained how everything I loved would get old and be taken away, and I would suffer. I tried to explain what a bargain it is. They patiently helped me understand. I said the devil must care if he lets us get so much, as though he can't resist something we are. Christopher Smart believed his cat Jeffrey played with a mouse to give it a chance, for 1 in 7 escaped by his deli. Across the flat farmland through ferocious sun, black fields and straggling dry vineyards, past the turn for the Valley of the Owls where I lived 3 years before. I stopped at the ugly fig tree for shade and the fruit, then handsome fields of ripe barley with the Aegean very blue behind. Michiko was to be with me that year in the valley, but we had bad luck. Now she is sitting on like moonlight in midday, Linda said. She has sliced cucumbers and put them with lemon juice. I stop at the best fig tree. I pass the field of 3 black cows and past the delicate goats, cross the dribbling stream to plum trees in a walled garden. Stony plots again in severe heat. The farmhouses become more frequent, and it is the edge of town. I buy tomatoes and eggs, squid for dinner, and bread. Check the mail and start back. Zen monks circle a hill each day for 100 days, then walk it for 100 sitting in their spirit. I climb the Greek landscape daily in San Francisco, getting the 10 miles and the light in Michiko clear. Today, giant American winds churn violently in the firs and eucalyptus, uprooting and tearing down. Their bulk is astonishing up close, like buffaloes at arm's length. I move small among them in the strong air. 2 possums cross a clearing, and I recognize the faces of the dead. 2 years end, and I know Michiko is not like that. Her bones are burned clean and hidden in Japan. The Michiko I miss is the Michiko I contain. We are composed of memory. We are the past ignited in the present. Without felt history, America is merely another country. Without Tuesday and the years before conscious in me, I am merely someone uninflected. Our past is an orchestra which merges with the tenor now. The 11 years of Michiko are me. Those months in the gardens of Kyoto and she with me now amid these splintering trees are both happiness. Memory is the equity we have in our lives. Michiko calls softly out of the orchard in me. She eludes and laughs, gentle and pleased. I know she and her shy heart and small breasts are there with the apple trees and figs, however invisible among the leaves. And the air is fresh around her.